Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new episode of Hit the Tone. What is up guys? Welcome to this brand new edition of Hit the Tone on Thomann's Guitars and Basses. It's different, but same. But different, but still same. If it's your first time here, welcome. What I do is take bits of famous songs and try to give you all the tools you need to hit the tone. This is a recommendation-based format as usual, so put the song that you'd like to see here in the comment section and I'll get to you as soon as possible. While you're down there, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel as per usual. Thank you very much in advance. And finally, this is a bit of an excuse. I'm making excuses right now, but what you're seeing, the last couple of episodes of Hit the Tone that you've seen were all pre-recorded because about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I broke my arm while recklessly skateboarding. So I'm still a bit dodgy on the chugging and the fast picking, so I'm sorry in advance for that. And this is a new studio, this is a new environment, so I'm not 100% sure of like the miking and the sound setup. So if you have any advice regarding that or how to help getting better with broken arms and stuff, I'll gladly take them in the comment section as well. Thank you very much in advance. And with all that said, let's start with today's song, which is The House of Wolves by Bring Me the Horizon. Sempiternal, in my opinion, is one of the best metal albums of the past decade, and I'm ready to fight to defend that. I think this song is monumental, so is the album, the riffs in there, the sounds, the production, the vocals, just about everything is insanely good. It took me a while to get to that kind of metalcore because of some technical restrictions that I had, and now that I'm all set in the new space and I could make these technical difficulties happen, let's get started. I'm pulling that string because it's one of the key elements to the guitar setup of Malia in Bring Me the Horizon. He's using obviously his Epiphone signature, either Les Paul Explorer or RD shaped Epiphones, which are killer guitars mounted with a pickup that has been inspired by the bare knuckle Warpig. I think we're out on the Malia signature guitars at the moment, but I did manage to find this crazy good looking Ibanez. That's one of the newest, this year's release. I think the name is something letter, number, Ibanez name. And it sports bare knuckle pickups, which is really cool. And the second thing that we have to take into consideration when playing Bring Me the Horizon is the string gauge. They have a bunch of different tunings, mostly drop tune to F, to G, to C, standard C I mean. This is the case for that song, it's happening in standard C, so we have an adequate set of strings, let's call that, which is a 12 to 62 on all the strings, except for the low C, because Malia does that really cool thing where it strings the low C with an 80 gauge. This, my friends, is a bass string. I usually keep the strings for the end, but this is such a key element to that sound that I'm going to be starting with that. So keep in mind that you might have to change your strings for something heavier, and in particular for the low C. And that implies maybe modifying your bridge a little bit, modifying your tuning pad. It's not accessible for everyone, but it's a really cool mod, and there's a bunch of artists who actually do that, so that's cool. Anyways, with that said, this is our basic sound. Now, before I get onto the pedals, there's something really important that you guys have to keep in mind, is that none of this is mandatory. I hate demos where like it basically says you have to buy all of that stuff to sound like that. It's very rarely the case, to be honest. So this is a list of options that I chose to go with, and that definitely bring me, I think, the Horizon, no, kidding, closer to his sound. But if you don't have a Marshall amp, that's probably fine. Get like a Marshall kind of distortion, like a jackhammer, or like any kind of Marshall in a box pedal, and put that in front of your amp, and boosting that will get you close enough. If you don't have bare knuckle pickups, probably fine as well. Any, heavy humbucker or even just standard humbucker being like really pushed will work. That's something that I really want to stress, because you guys keep commenting, yeah, but you could have gone with the big metal head or the big this or that. Of course, it's also a lot of fun, but I really want to make it so that most of you who don't have all of the gear can still get there. That's really important to me. But with that said, let's talk about pedals. For some of you who are not aware of that, Lee Malia's rig is actually quite surprising for a heavy metal modern kind of rig, because he's using a bunch of Marshall amps, either Plexis or JTM 800s, and he boosts these amps with the most metal of all overdrives, which is a clone or a clone. So that's not your typical metal rig, let's say, but Marshall amps obviously record so very well. They're very rich. They do need to be pushed when you max out the gain most often, and so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm running the guitar into the JCM 800 Lead Series combo. The controls will be on your screen once I've taken the mics off, and I will be boosting that combo with the Walrus Audio EB10 EQ Boost utility. As you might have guessed, I do not have a clone pedal. These go for crazy money. But what we're looking for in that clone pedal is just a hard clipping overdrive that is mid-pushed, but it's mostly the hard clipping kind of thing. It does something that's very different from, let's say, like a Tube Screamer or something like that. So I'm using the EB10, I'm using the boost, and I'm boosting the mids quite a lot. Boosting the low end quite a bit as well, and the high end is under control because there's a lot of high in that Marshall already. But using that pedal is gonna take us there. Pro tip, use a noise gate. Preferably in the loop of the amp. Since we max out the preamp from that Marshall, the gain structure comes from there, and we're just blasting the front end of it with that boost, slightly EQ'd. So that's it. That's just a massive rhythm sound that, to my ears, has been double tracked during the intro for the song, but no delay, no reverb, and I'll get to some more ambient Bring Me the Horizon later, because his use of delay and reverb are perfect. But with that said, we have our guitar, we have our pedal, we have our amp. Let's go on to the last section of that video, which is, as usual, the most important, and is how to play the song. Disclaimer time, as per usual. First off, you will find a link in the description box down below to all the gear that I'm using today. So if you're interested into specs, into details, into price points, I will put everything in there, plus some more options at different prices to help you get to that sound. In the description box, you will also find a link to the tabs for this song. If you need some more time practicing it, if you're not much of a visual learner, it's all down there, so go check it out. Now, as I said previously, the song happens in C standard, so that means you take your guitar in E standard, drop it 2 steps down to C. It's not a drop tuning, okay? It's just like your chord shapes stay the same. But as we mentioned, there's that 80, that bass string as well to take into consideration. But the riff in itself is fairly simple. We're gonna have a look at our fretting hand first. So it's just power chords, really. There's nothing too complicated about this, except maybe for the tempo. Since it's a pretty fast song, it's a very kind of punky rhythm. The chords move pretty fast, so you really have to get comfortable with putting that power chord position and going around the fretboard with it, because that's going to be useful, obviously in metal, but most definitely if you're playing any sort of punk rock, that's a must-have. Let's now have a look at the picking side of it. Same as with the fretting hand, really, it's not that complicated. The song is in 4/4. It's not going crazy fast on the picking side, but there's that kind of odd, you know, the picking pattern doesn't really follow the tempo, it goes with the kick. So that's something that's happening a lot in metal. If you're starting, you really want to get accustomed to that. If you're already a seasoned guitar player, that should be no problem whatsoever. And with that said, I think that's it, guys. You have all the tools you need to hit the tone on the House of Wolves by Bring Me the Horizon. As usual, I hope you had fun. I hope maybe you learned something, and if so, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, helps me a lot, so thank you very, very much in advance. On that, I wish you all a fantastic week, and I'll see you next Monday in a new episode of Hit the Tone.